to 10 a.m. Bye! Hello, bon dia, happy Saturday. How are you doing? I hope you are doing fine. We will be speaking in English this morning because, as you know, for me it's important for our guests to feel comfortable as we have important conversations. So we will be speaking English today, and I hope that's not an issue for you. I just want to remind you that we are live on Facebook and YouTube of Cool FM and also Sincere Carolina's YouTube. And do not worry if you are unable to follow the whole episode live. You can always catch it back on these social media platforms, but it will also be available for streaming in podcast version by Tuesday. I try to make it by Monday, but I never make it, so I feel like I have just set my expectations to Tuesday, and that works because I usually send them out on Tuesday. So, if you didn't catch it today, which is Saturday, which I always forget, but it's the only day I'm at Cool FM. Anyways, I'm excited about this topic, but also a little nervous because we talked about this last week, and I hope that y'all learned something. But apparently, we need to work on being nicer and making better choices and being kinder and yada, yada, yada. So I guess we need to work on that again today, this week, and until you get it. And I'm just kidding. Well, I hope, of course, that we get through to you, that we choose to speak differently about women and women's bodies, but also all people, of course. But I think that this week has shown us that we still feel a lot of negative feelings. I don't want to use big words today, or loaded words, but negative feelings towards women choosing fashion and whatever they feel is fashion. So in any case, I forgot to turn on the lights. I just noticed that. We're gonna have like a mellow vibe on the cameras today. Anyways, without further ado, I have two beautiful ladies in the house today, and some of you may know them, but I will let them introduce themselves, of course. We'll go from there. So good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
All right, Natasha, so I'm gonna ask you to please introduce yourself for those that don't know you.
Hi, I'm Natasha Cunha. I'm a certified editorial and personal stylist. As well, I own my own sustainable swimwear brand on the island.
Okay, I think that we need to explain a little bit more of what a certified stylist is and what that entails, because I have seen you do different types of work. I've seen you work on sets, on music videos, on short films. So maybe you can explain, also like magazine stuff.
Yes.
So maybe you can explain a little bit of what it entails while I go and turn on the lights.
Well, how I'm certified is that I was able to study in London. I took a short course for styling, and before that I went to a fashion university in Seoul, South Korea. But I got my certification through this short course in London, and we did a bunch of different things like learning how to style, like the basics, learning the body types, etc., etc. And eventually I graduated and I got a certification. So yeah, I've worked on multiple magazines such as Vanity Teen, Huff Magazine, Boyfriend Magazine. I've also worked behind the scenes in runway for Charlotte Knowles and Roxy. Rixo. Sometimes I'm like, words.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, that is, I think, a really good introduction into what you do, what you have done, and I guess it's gonna give people like a better insight.
Thank you.
As to why you may have certain opinions or comments about fashion and body types and how we perceive those things. So I'm gonna switch the lights, so I can't multitask, so I'm trying. But Darlin, can you maybe introduce yourself for those that don't know you yet?
Yes. Hi, good morning. My name is Darlin. I'm a professional photographer. I've been doing this for 10 years. I started this when I was super young. And I have worked in the commercial field, in the fashion field. Right now I'm focused on the wedding field, mostly. But yeah, I also do other things. Sometimes I'm working on branding. Sometimes I'm an illustrator as well. I'm kind of getting into that right now, which is really weird. It's like Barbie does everything.
Literally.
Yes.
But yeah, I just love photography, and yeah, that's what I love doing. That's what I do.
Yay.
I'm a little business
Awesome.
owner, and I have a Stellar Takes, which is my little photography company right now. So yeah.
And you also mentioned illustration, and yesterday you shared something really nice. And you know, for those of you that don't know, illustrators get to work on books too. So then you just worked on an awesome book that I am hoping to get my hands on soon.
Yes. I have to get you a phone that.
Yes, let me know. And if not, I'll just order it. My niece is abroad right now, so I'll just have her
perfect.
bring it for me.
Yes.
No worries.
Perfect. Yeah, so we actually just, by we, I mean Yakari Gabriel and Eunice and I worked on a book. Honestly, they did everything. I just kind of pulled up and did the cover based on their requirements, and I did it all by hand, but with digital tools, of course. It was really fun. It was the first time I got to experience that, because I've already been playing with illustration at home a lot, in a lot of aspects. Sometimes when in my previous company, I would do sketches for logos and stuff like that. That's kind of how it like got into it. I redesigned my new logo for my company recently as well. So I'm just kind of into that right now. So yeah, the book's name is, the book's title is Bread and Butter, and it's a poetry book, and it's really, really good to read. It's just, I love poetry, so yeah.
Oh,
It was really nice to get to work on that.
Yes, I am very much looking forward. As the first one, Cold Coffee, was really, really good.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to this one.
Cold coffee is delicious.
I'll have to look into it. I'm a fantasy reader. That's a thing.
I know, you are. All right, ladies. So I think that, you know, last week during Sincerely Carolina really discussed the issue around how fashion, not just internationally but also locally, is very much targeted to like a very peculiar stereotype that is not norm conforming with our community. But even internationally, if we look at like what average sizes are, you know, it's not around what models usually are showing. But also not just that, but how we as people embody it to the point that we also get mad when somebody steps out of like the mold of what fashion should be, according to like their body shape or size. And sadly, we saw that full blown in action on Thursday and Friday after the Barbie premiere, which was really nice. I really encourage you all to watch it, and hopefully you learn a thing or two. But yeah, I mean, we saw that, so it was a little bit triggering that we talked about it like last week, and then we were planning to talk about it this week again, and then this happens, because if anything, it only highlights the importance of having these conversations, and that it's not, you know, younger people being snowflakes and like too sensitive and being like, oh, you shouldn't, you know, worry about what people say, etc., because it does go to the point where it's, you know, violent, it's scary, it's intimidating, and it's creating unsafe spaces for people. So I did want to have like a creative perspective this week. So that's why you're both here. Because I do think it is important to think about, you know, whether truly it does require more from you, and what does it mean for you to be aware of, you know, being truly representative, inclusive, diverse, in the work that you do. And I say the work that you do, you know, as a photographer, as a designer, as you create, you know, fashion items for people to wear, but also as you style people, etc. So maybe you can discuss that a little bit. Like, is it really that much harder, or is it just something that you have to like just put it in your brain and I don't know. Tell me, please.
For me, it wasn't harder to think about different body sizes or body shapes because growing up, I've had hypothyroidism my whole entire life. So my body weight has fluctuated my entire life. I've gone from a size 4 to now I'm a size 12 US. And so for me, I grew up around very independent women. And same with the friend group that I have, they were from different cultures, everyone. So when I created this brand, I wanted to make sure that was a spotlight. I didn't want anyone to feel like they were not included in the brand because I see it a lot within fashion, especially Western to Eastern fashion. It's very difficult to feel inclusive with the fashion trends that are happening because sometimes you don't feel like, oh, my body fits this kind of top or whatever. And the thing I want people to remind people of is that fashion is for everyone. Like, no matter what your body size is, no matter what, if you feel confident in it, that's what's most important. And that's what I wanted to show within my brand. I wanted to show that inclusivity, that whatever body size you are, it does not matter. And same with ethnicity. I was honestly tired of seeing the same kind of girls modeling bikinis, fashion, especially the tall, skinny, I'm gonna say it, blonde hair, blue eyes. I want to see that diversity of women, like women, all the different body sizes. So that's why I started like THEA Swim, because I saw a gap in the industry, especially locally.
And I do think, you know, I have been following you and your brand for a while now, and I see that when you create pieces, I don't know, you know, if you do this consciously or if it's like second nature to you at this point, but I have noticed how these pieces also look well on all bodies, because I'm not gonna say that because you have like a different body shape, it's not gonna look well, but the reality is that if it's not made for you, if it's not made with you in mind, it is not gonna look like the way that, you know, it looks like on models. And we also touched base on that like last week. Like, I'm short, you know, so I do like shopping at brands that sell petite sizes, not because I'm like thin, like super thin where I'm like petite like that, but I'm petite like short, so I need to be able to find things that fit my size, you know? Like, I don't want to like buy pants and then have like a whole process afterwards to make sure that the pants
tailor it and stuff.
Exactly, you know? Or blouses that look like, you know, dresses. I don't know. Like, so I also love seeing that. I love like how your swimsuits look nice on everybody that wears them, even if they are like super thin, but even if they are like super curvy, you know, even if like their bodies do not have like the I don't want to say like normative proportions of like, you know, an hourglass type of body, they still look beautiful. And I do think some brands do that when they create items being aware, right? But
it's usually just for a collection that they're being aware of that. Usually when I'm getting certain orders, I'll do custom like sizing or whatever. They'll be like, oh, I want some more coverage on my tummy with this bikini bottom, so I'll do that. I'll adhere to that to make sure they feel confident in what they wear, because I knew I always struggled with finding clothes. And a lot of people don't realize is that so how designing works, whether it's swimwear or fashion, they have the basics, the standard sizes, which is O, 2, and 4. Those are like the model sizes. And what they do with patterns, instead of changing the curves of how the body works, like some girls got boobs, you know, all of that, all they do is just like make it bigger, like a few centimeters bigger. They don't change a draft of the pattern. And sometimes that's what you find is when clothes don't fit you right, because all they did was take from the small size and just made it bigger, with not in mind of how
proportions would
work. Exactly.
And Darlin, I mean, you know, it's one thing to be creating these items, be dressing up people, but it's the other side as well, right? When you're taking the pictures, when you are creating ads or editorials, right? That's another thing that we hear, is that sometimes creatives on that side have a hard time working with more diverse groups, because either they don't have as much experience, because they don't get the opportunity, but also because even then it's like, how are we gonna make this thing that we know is not,
we've never seen before, so how do we replicate something?
Yes, how do
right?
we make it look beautiful? And I say like beautiful, like cautiously, because I mean,
it has to be clean,
Mm-hmm.
You have to know what you're doing. You have to know your light. And people confuse it looking beautiful with it looking like everything else we've already seen. It doesn't mean it's beautiful because it looks like the skinny model ad we just saw. That's not really what means it's beautiful. What makes it beautiful is that you have proper creative direction, that you have proper light management, that you have the proper post-production on the images, that you have the proper handling of the model when you have them there. Because all different shapes of bodies require all different shapes of poses as well, to give the best feeling over to the camera, so it registers well, right? So in that aspect, there's this thing that gets complicated, right? We have the client, so I get hired to do the photos, and then what say do I have? And I'm just like, what if we do this? And I just propose a different kind of model.
You're not the creative director.
I'm just a photographer. But then when I've had the opportunity of doing creative direction, and I've had clients who are like, this place is for everybody. Let's say it's a gym, right? And they're like, no, we want to offer this to everybody, because the gym is not for a specific type of person. It's not just to get skinny. It's for strengthening your body, for also feeling better, because it helps with your just overall dopamine levels and all of that. There's more to it, your health, all of that. Okay. So then let's create an ad. And then you put up all these muscular people who have their bodies already made. Well, I mean,
it's for them too, but not just for them.
It's an aantrekkelijk look for everybody because everybody's used to it. But that is not the point. The point is that everybody should be comfortable enough to enter a place and say, oh, I can work on myself here, regardless of what that means to them, because it's different aspects for everybody, right? So I've had the privilege of having clients like that have given me the freedom. I don't really post all my work, because once I finalize a project, the project belongs to my client. So if I need to show it, I know who to show it to. It doesn't need to be everywhere, because I want them to get the right usability of the photos as well, right? If I put it everywhere, and then they can put it everywhere, it's not special anymore. So there's that. I think proper light management goes a long way, and I'm not saying that you need to make places darker and hide certain curves. No, I'm saying accentuate the curves. Know where to highlight. It's very important, and make your model comfortable. Don't be like whispering to your assistant like, oh, she's a little too fat for this. No, you can't do that. What are you talking about? There's no such thing. If you don't know how to handle your model, just say that. Just walk away.
But why do you think there's not a lot of diversity within commercials? So you don't see the different.
They always just want you just said, the Dutch. I meant the white. I'm sorry, the
Eurocentric.
white.
Yes. I hear what you're saying. Yes.
And the clients literally give you that briefing, no pone hende dijo piccolo.
Of no pone hende kuta part of the LGBTQ community.
Oh, girl.
Okay. Yeah.
That one. So, and if they do, make sure they're very feminine presenting. If they're
female,
they have to be very feminine presenting. You can't pull a mask up there.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm always surprised, although I shouldn't be, but I'm always surprised when people say, because I'm not in spaces. I don't know if it's at this point I'm giving a certain energy where people think twice of what they say in front of me.
Oh, same here. Everyone knows that.
Yeah. I consider myself a very nice person, but some way, somehow, people get a little not. I don't want to say self-conscious, but they are aware, which I love, because I mean that is the point. I do hope, however, you are aware in all spaces, not just when I'm around. But I'm always surprised when I hear this a lot, when people just verbally, explicitly say that they want to exclude particular people when they want to exclude like groups, every time I'm surprised because I'm like,
The audacity.
how like how does it even happen? But then I hear it so often that apparently it's not happened around me directly, like with me around, but maybe also because I'm not in the type of spaces where, you know, something like that would be said explicitly as well. But I do think it's problematic. I do think that you know, that people feel like some, you know,
Some type
people
of way.
So, like, you can't, like, some people will come to you very cautiously, like, oh, I can't mess around with her. I can make the wrong joke, but ito pa ipunin mi lugar. That's really what's going on, right?
Yeah.
And
which is fine.
Yeah.
I love having that energy by all means.
Yeah.
But also, why do you not have that energy everywhere else?
Yeah.
Or what you should question yourself, like why
Yeah.
are you even asking, like you know, why she would put you in your place. Maybe
Correct.
reflect on that.
Yeah, correct. People really need to, like, when they have those thoughts, but I don't think they're aware, like
No.
like they can't see further than their noses. Let's put it that way, to not say something else.
Yeah. But also because it's like literally ingrained in their brains.
that's it.
It's muscle memory. It's all that you know, all that you have done, and to rewire that requires work. It requires work externally. So like constant inputs, you know, coming in and telling you to do something different, but also internally actually registering that and doing the work to rewire that. And that is work. I understand that it's hard, but also I would like to think that if you are in positions of like creating things like ads, you know, of representing a brand, etc., you are supposed to, or at least I hope, to be a little bit more conscious of the power that you have in influencing people, influencing people's behavior, people's attitudes toward things, how we perceive things. So I would like to think that in that consciousness, you know, while also not like completely maybe blowing your brand and like doing something too radical that is gonna like bankrupt you or whatever, that you are consciously making better choices. But apparently we're not doing that.
Well, it's funny. I had a client once. We presented a project to them, pretty large company here on the island, and their reply literally was say, "Oh no, that's too gay."
Oh wow.
Oh, okay.
After that, I was like, I just kept calm because I was really new in business. I was like 21 or 22 at that point in time.
Yeah.
And I just stayed calm. And then I left the meeting, and then they're calling me like, oh, can we get new drafts and stuff? And I was like, no, we're dropping you. I'll send you an email. Thank you. Have a good day. They're like, what? But we signed the quotation. We agreed to this. This is no, done. I'm done. I don't have the energy for it. I'm done.
Yeah.
I didn't come out of the closet to deal with that. I'm sorry, but I did not come out here to be myself, to deal with that just for money, for nothing. There's no reason for it. And something that I want to mention is like, it's really sad, for example, when I'm at weddings and I have thicker brides, beautiful, beautiful women, I'm telling you, and they have these gorgeous dresses and they are fussing and bussing like about everything because somebody once said, you're too big. Or because not just somebody, everybody says you're too big. Because the ads for weddings, the editorials for weddings, it's the same thing we've been talking about. And I'm just like, it's supposed to be one of the happiest days of your life.
Exactly.
And this is your biggest worry. You are ruining your pictures.
Yeah.
You on your own.
Because you are so hyper fixated with that, right?
Yes. And it's sad because it's not really them ruining their pictures. It's society that ruined that moment for them.
Exactly.
You know?
It's that pressure.
Yeah.
When you say that, I remember that, so, you know, our whole wedding process like was during COVID. Like we had this big wedding plan, and then we had to like regroup and pivot and you know think about what was important for us. Anyways, we ended up having like a super small and intimate ceremony, and then it was like a vacation. Like our siblings came, and anyways, it was super nice. And one of the things that was really, really important for me is not to have people around me that I do not know or that do not understand me. So I was very adamant about like who like my photographer was gonna be, who was gonna do our video, and then even looking up pictures, right? Like, of course I went online and on Pinterest and I saw, but I wanted to see like with my photographers and the videographers, I was looking at videos of real people that they have done here in Aruba, like real stuff, you know. And I'm not saying that the people on Pinterest are not real, but what I'm saying is that, you know, women that look like me, and you know, but also
you need the representation.
Yes,
right. There
know?
It is. That's where we need people to be photographing these things so that there is a history.
What looks nice for somebody that looks like me, right?
Yes.
Also portraying who I am as in my personality, making sure that was clear.
Yes.
And I say because obviously, like, my husband is like a super like team player. He's like, you know, I trust you, and it's like he's just like go, you know. Like it would be really weird, or he was like, this is like the few things I really, really want, and then other than that,
he's the supporting character.
Yeah, awesome. But
he's just Ken.
Yeah, I love that. But like, you know, and then I realized that because we had such an intimate like ceremony and everything, like I was truly myself. Like you know, I was micromanaging so much, I was doing so much, but also with like my makeup and my hair, like, you know, and then also at the same time being a little conscious with you know, these pictures are forever. I mean, all pictures technically are forever, but these are the types that you hang in like your living room, which we haven't done yet because, you know, apparently hanging pictures takes a lot of energy. But, you know, and then thinking about like, oh my gosh, like, should I be conscious about these things or not? And one of the things, like, I'm short, my husband is, you know, relatively tall, and you know, I wore the heels for like the ceremony, like at Raad, and then like I couldn't handle them, and my family knows me so well, so they had like my slippers like, you know, there. And then by the time that it was like we had to go in the city and take pictures, like I was just like, I'm gonna wear my slippers because I can't do this. Like you know, these were like new shoes, and I should have like worn them a little bit more, so I was, you know, like accustomed, but I didn't do it. And but I was like also like, this is me, like this is my height, like this is who I am.
Let's be real with it.
And you know, at no point that my photographers or my videographers, they also knew me a little bit longer as persons, but they didn't make me feel weird about it, or like, or nobody there, because it was like my family and stuff, like nobody said something like, oh my gosh, like you cannot do your pictures in like your slippers, right? And I'm like, the dress is super long, so it's not like it's a big thing or whatever. But I could imagine if you have like a bigger ceremony where you invite people because you have to invite them or whatever, that you will get like more of those comments like, oh my gosh, you already took off your shoes. By the time that we did our ceremony like on the beach, I was barefoot. I'm like, why am I even gonna wear the slippers, right? But it's these expectations that are like, even as I would like to consider myself like a very aware and conscious person, they are so ingrained in you that
you talk to yourself, and
since
like,
you're a child.
Exactly. Definitely.
Oh my gosh, so
a lot of diets my mother
you
was
dance
on.
too, right?
Oh yeah,
Natasha danced.
Oh, the body dysmorphia with that. Let's not even start with that.
So yesterday I was talking to a friend about that, and about like being in ballet and then being called like too fat for that. And like, again, I am so happy that sometimes the way my brain works means that some things don't register to the point that it makes it a big deal. But she was telling me, she's like, I quit ballet because like this person was like super mean, and she was like really body shaming me, etc. And I'm like, yeah, she did it too, but I just went into like other dance types, like, okay, cool. Like, you know, but realizing that as a child there was this adult figure, you know, talking like that to me and other children, like that's kind of scary, right?
I started when I was mentors. 4. Like dance, and I stopped around 17, 18. I was doing everything from jazz, contemporary, tap, hip-hop, ballet, waltz, everything. And I was always the bigger girl because I was 5'8". even though I was about 54 kilograms.
Wow.
I was skinny, but I was bigger than all the rest, and I felt that. Like, I felt the judgment from the other girls. I felt like a potato when dancing, even though I knew how to dance, and that really
You had
messed
such
with-
great form. Like, your form was always on point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We met in Art Rose.
Yeah, we met in Art Rose,
I was dancing
and I got to take some photos of her, and they actually made it onto the banner.
Oh yeah,
So, like,
our banner of me doing the split midair or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super talented.
And I think dance has played a big role in my body dysmorphia now. Like, I'm not saying I am perfectly happy with my body. That's not realistic for me. And for a lot of women, there are days where I'm like, oh, I wish I could change this. I wish I could change that.
Of course.
But I'm not going to make it ruin my day. You know, I can't change that. So sometimes, yeah, ballet and dance really mess with how I perceive myself a lot of the times. I think with a lot of women it does too.
Yeah,
For sure.
I had a brief moment in dance, and I
Yeah.
quit.
Yeah.
I walked in one day, I was like, I'm done with you all. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
I went home. My mom was like, what did you just do? Why did I just get a call?
Yeah, no, I also, I just like stopped ballet and just continued like the other type of dances. Just because I was like, yeah, I don't know, this is not like feeling like that, you know? And I could see like I was too hyper for that, like the, you know, being, like being super, like that, giving like that elegance and like calm and collected vibe. I did not have that. I did not have that. Like I am
You'd be
like
perfect for tap.
Oh, I did tap.
Yeah.
Yes. Tap was fun. You know, we had like fun outfits. It was sparkly and like we used pants, you know, like we had different stuff.
Tap your life away.
Yep, I did
Like all
tap.
the noise.
Yep, with the noise. Oh, so stimulating. It was nice. But you know, it's these things that we are not aware of, and I don't think that I don't think that parents necessarily like put their children in ballet, for example. You know, that's an example, and think of like, oh, maybe my child is gonna be called fat, and even when that happens, and let's say the child even shares it, because sometimes children don't even share something like that because it's normalized. You know, because it's normalized in that environment, people just kind of accept it. And then maybe some parents will like be like, okay, then apparently we need to work on that. And we don't realize how so many areas of our lives are contributing to these, stereotypes, but also this internalization of never being like good enough or like never,
Some parents will put you in dancing activities because they're like, they need to lose weight, they need to get this posture, they need to be like this, and like all these expectations that people put, like society puts on women, right? It's like, no, she needs to go to dance school. She has to.
And it's just a generational thing too, because we get our aunties or whatever. Oh, you look a little heavier today. Did you start eating a lot? What's this?
I recently visited some old patients of mine because I was a nurse briefly, and I went to visit them at the.
She says Barbie.
No, I'm telling you, like it's crazy.
She's like briefly.
Like for 3 months, I was changing diapers for old people. Loved the experience. It was great. But there's a few of them. I'm talking old.
Yes.
Va a subir peso. Oh, va a virar gordo. I'm like, Anto?
Yeah.
I walked in there like, I cannot deal with this. Did you pay for anything? Keep it moving.
I think like when we talk about like people doing that, like the aunties, I didn't grow up with family in Aruba because my family is not from Aruba, so I don't have any aunts, uncles, nothing on the island. It's always been like me and my parents, and you know we did have like family friends, but because it's still like on another like level of like, even if you're close, it's different, right? My mom is very vocal too, so I mean...
Yeah, my mom still to this day. I mean, you lost some weight. Come on, a little more.
Yeah.
My mom stopped. She learned, because she's also struggled with her body and weight a lot.
Well, my mom would be like, if somebody mentioned my weight, she would be like, why are you talking to her about her weight?
Only I
like,
can talk about it.
Oh
my God.
My mom is an almond mom.
Okay. It happens, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. But I remember we were at I don't know if it's Christmas or New Year's, but December type of holiday parties, and I was at like my childhood friends, and their like aunt or family person showed up, and they're the kind of people that come like like on Christmas, right? Like I see them, like I would play with my friends and stuff, but I would see these people at like holiday parties or whatever. And she literally came in and went to my friend. You know, she said hi to some people, and then she like went to her and like gave her a kiss and like held her like on her arm, shoulder. And she's like, "Holo ba subi peso." And I remember being there and feeling like, oh my gosh, like I don't think up until that point I was young, like I don't know, maybe like 14, 15 or something like that. I don't think I have seen that in action in that way. And I'm awkward. Like if something awkward happens in front of me,
You're not the only one.
like I'm awkward.
Yeah, it's the general vibe here right now.
I just stare and I'm just like I see it play out. Like I'm not gonna like unless it's something like really intense where I see like the person is like not able to come out for themselves, I will not like intervene. So I was just like that just happened, right? And my friend, she's quick with her mouth and everything. So you know, she responded super quickly, saying something along the lines of like do you not think that I have a mirror? But also like I am still thinner than you, and why are you talking about my weight, right? But she said something like it was very intense, and she was mad. Like she walked away and she slammed the door. And you know, her night was ruined. Like the whole like party night, like it was awkward. And then this like auntie, like she was so surprised by the response, and she felt like the response like was unwarranted and it was like too much, and that she was being rude. And she was like, you know, she told the mom, she's like, why are you being rude or whatever? And then somebody says like, yeah, like, you know, what you just said is kind of like crazy. Like this is a teenager. Yeah. You just walked up to a teenager and said that. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, you're a whole grown ass adult. Like, why are you talking like that? You know, and I'm not saying that it's okay to do it to adults, but the way that we do that with like younger people, right? And that day is like stored in my brain as a core memory, because, and I still feel a certain type of way towards this auntie, right? Like anytime I see her,
she has like a spot now that you can't unsee.
I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. And maybe she has grown. Maybe she doesn't do that to people. Maybe that one day is
maybe
like,
she doesn't want to be told off again.
yeah, maybe she snapped and she was like, oh my gosh, maybe I should stop doing that. I don't know. But the fact that somebody felt like that was like okay to do in that way to somebody in a setting such as that, you know? But then I realized as I grow up and then you mingle more with people, and you know, I left my like little family's bubble, you realize that is not like, that thing that happened is not something that happens like randomly. It's very common. It happens on the regular, right? So I don't know, like how do you think that we can work to like move away, and I say move away from like these stereotypes and these norms of like beauty from a creator's perspective? Like if you see like the work that you're doing, like, and you know, when we talk about these little moments that happen, little big moments, because they're little in time but they create big impact, obviously, otherwise we wouldn't be talking about them, right? How do you think that other creatives can work towards genuinely moving away from that and being able to look around them and look at our community and be like, our community is beautiful, and like how can we represent that through, you know, media or through fashion, through creating pieces? Like,
that's a loaded question,
right? I love loaded questions. I do them all the time. No, I'm just kidding.
How we can build more acceptance?
Yes, and diversity, you know, how do we work towards that?
I think people just need to educate themselves and like expand their knowledge and be open to more, how would I say,
I think it's being done.
viewpoints.
I think our generation is trying to include, like she is with her brand.
It is changing,
you know?
though. I can say that compared to a few years ago,
definitely.
it has been changing. We're more
I mean,
aware.
Calvin Klein has done several things, although they've done several problematic things as well. You know, sorry, I mentioned a specific brand, but
No, it's fine.
internationally, right?
Yes.
But they have been including different kinds of models. They've been including trans models, plus size models. And I mean, at some point, we're going to stop using the term plus size. At some point, we're just going to start using real people, I think.
Yeah.
for these ads, real representation. I think that's kind of part of it as well. We do need to categorize things in order to educate, because otherwise we don't have the proper terms to explain things so people can put a visual to it or pinpoint things in their brains and create new connections in their brains, right? But I think it is slowly being done. In Aruba, of course, a lot slower than everywhere else. Over here, we're like turtles.
It's because this is a small community.
Yeah.
For me, how I was able to expand my viewpoint was being able to travel. I think that was a big thing, that I was able to go to London, Spain, Portugal. I lived in Korea. Like, I've seen different cultures and their beauty standards and the viewpoints and what they're doing in their community as creatives. And I think locals, we need to start doing that more. Like, whether or not it's traveling, it's becoming social media friends with other creatives outside of their
bubble,
circle,
right?
On the island. Like, meet people from other countries, see their viewpoints, because that's how you're gonna grow, is by meeting people with completely different viewpoints.
And that's when you'll understand that art, beauty, all these standards are very subjective. It all lies in the eye of the beholder, basically. You know, and I think that's one big point for all of this. It's very subjective. You need to understand that what one person considers beautiful is not what other person will consider beautiful, and accept it. Just take it in as it is, you know? Don't try to change it. Just see things and accept that it is beautiful because it exists, you know? Get a little bit more like philosophical in that part, but but it really, I think we have to go back and realize, like, we're all part of the same universe, you know?
Yeah.
And we need to understand the beauty of that, and just
she's going deep.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna cut off right there.
No, keep going.
No worries. But that is something that you know, what you said is something that I repeat a lot too. When I talk about like diversity, inclusion, equity, and all of these things, and I do it, you know, not on like, you know, just gender things, or like in this case we're talking about like body shapes, but you know, when we talk about like disabilities and conditions, it's that I don't know how people do that, but you know, they go into a bubble where it's like, oh, the others, but the others, if you literally, you know, put it into like a perspective where you zoom out, like you said, like we're all part of one, the others usually tends to be more than the bubble that you are in. Like the bubble that you think should be like, you know, the norm or whatever is not. And for some reason, it's like hard to burst that bubble. Like, you know, anytime we look at like numbers, anytime I present numbers, when I talk about stuff like representation of people with like neurodivergence, with disabilities, people are like, yeah, but you know, and I'm like, you know, when we talk about like mental or cognitive disabilities, for example, or conditions, we're talking about 16% of our population.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, right? So I'm not talking about this like super uber tiny group. Like, we're not even talking about physical disabilities or like, you know, I'm talking about like invisible, the things that we don't even see, that are you know, like that impact, for example, somebody's you know, ability to be educated in our regular school system, for example. And you know, it's like, how are we seeing these people in spaces where, you know, in fashion, for example, you know, you'll have like these fashion shows, but it's just for you know, like special people, and I don't love
or
the word
just
special
because it's trending in that moment. And they want the positive like reviews of it, and then they'll completely just forget about it and go back to their
but they shop too, like, you know, and that's the thing. I'm like it's not just them, but their whole family. So anytime that you are aware of like being inclusive with like people, period, it's not, you're not just targeting that person, but their network and the people around them. So it has a positive effect, even if you're looking at from like only the financial perspective, even if you only think like, how is this gonna financially like help me? Why should I put more time into educating myself and stuff? Like, even if you only want to see it from that point of view, it will have a positive effect, because it will not only make them feel better, but their whole support system, which usually includes 2+ people. And in some cases, it includes, like, especially in communities that are collectivist like Aruba, it means that these people have a support system of 10+ people.
Yep.
That you are making them feel good about your brand, about what you're selling. And yet, somehow, you know, that doesn't get through to people. That even if you want to see it from a very, like, capitalist perspective, it has added value. So why are we not
There's
doing
money
it
in there.
more?
It's just there's money in it, but that's it.
Just people also just like to be in their old ways.
Yeah, you know, there's a mold, and if you stick to the mold,
comfortable.
you can copy paste.
True, that is also
It's
true.
easy. They don't want to make the new molds, because there are new molds at this point in time.
And then be the target of whatever, like, first backlash is of that new mold, right? Because that is the reality,
Yeah,
that usually
yeah,
the first
there's
ones are the ones that are going to get the most heat.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people like being the first ones to take, like, the heat, right?
I think capital wise, like financially, I think it would be a smart move to be more inclusive with disabilities and everything, because it's such a large community that does not have many options. So if you're a company that starts giving the option, you're gonna get most of those customers.
You know, when
Yeah.
I saw
You know?
diversity during the pandemic, when people were going broke and they had to, like, grasp for a new market, everybody wanted to be inclusive right away.
Yep.
Everybody wanted to be inclusive about everything, and I don't mean just body shapes. I mean gender, orientation wise, like all of that. It's anyways.
Yeah. No, but
Yeah.
but it is something to think about,
The
right?
pandemic helped, you know, in that sense. I think the pandemic really helped, and it kind of pushed people's minds in a different direction.
And some brands, you know, stuck with it. Like, they're still doing that because they saw the positive aspect of it, and then some of them were like, oh my gosh, this was exhausting, and we're just gonna go back now to what we know that is easy and works and whatever.
Like Skims, for example, they're really inclusive. If you actually go through their things, Kim Kardashian, even though I'm not the biggest fan, but she has done inclusivity, whether it's coverage for those who don't want to show any skin, or for people with disabilities, like physical disabilities. She's done, like, I think bras and panties are more accessible for them.
Like, easier to put
take
on.
off, like zippers in front. There's buttons that they can easily remove. So I think she was one of the few first, like, such a big brand to do that, and she's still doing it now.
That's nice. And that's the thing, right? That if it doesn't affect you, we don't, like, care, or we don't talk about it. So anyways, I'm looking at the time, and I do want to touch about, like, our local situation real quick. And of course, you know, it's media. We are in media, so our Those Sincere Carolina is not necessarily a sensational podcast, but I do think that because we talked about it, we are talking about it, we should address it. For those that are watching the video, you might notice that there's, like, a bunch of Barbie stuff around. It's like so in here we are Barbie fans.
Yes.
Thank you, Kulafam, for making this place Barbie beautiful. We appreciate it. But yes, I think that a lot of women were super excited to see this come to life, in the sense that, you know, a lot of women have played with these dolls when they were young girls.
It's nostalgic.
Yes, and you know, the fact that I don't think at that moment maybe even parents were aware, or little girls were aware of how, like, empowering Barbie dolls were, and their diversity of, like, you know, jobs and professions.
Yeah, but
and
only until recently was they've expanded more on
actual ethnic
race
and physical. Yeah. But I mean,
that was a huge issue back in the past.
Yep, indeed. And I do remember that when Barbie dolls became, like, more diverse, like, my mom is really into that, so I got, like, a bunch of, like, different types of Barbies. Like, I had different skin tone Barbies, different hair type Barbies. I loved it. But yeah, it wasn't something that was, like, you know, in necessarily when we were younger, but the fact that it is something that so many young girls could like look back to and feel connected to in some way. So I think that some people were really sour that all of a sudden everything was pink, and people are like, why is this such a hype, and why are people so excited about this? And I don't think people understand why.
Yeah.
Because it is nostalgic and it is a nice feeling to see it come to life. And I absolutely love that there were like events, done to celebrate that. I have to say that I did not in any way expect anything negative to come out of that. Like I did not think, oh my gosh, there's gonna be Barbie events or whatever, and there was gonna be like a negative cloud around it. And maybe it's because I'm a considerably like optimistic person. Like I like to think that people are capable of doing better and being nice, but I did not expect that. However, we went to like I went to the premiere with a friend, and we were talking about like hoping that the vibe is nice and it's no like mean girl vibe or whatever. One of the organizers was also telling me that like she hopes that it's a nice feeling, and so we got there, and of course it's a bunch of girls, so you are gonna have cliques and you're gonna have like that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I don't know how I feel, right? But in any case, everybody was like everybody understood the assignment. There were like all types of Barbies. There was like denim Barbie, there's cowboy Barbie, there was like Parisian Barbie, Malibu Barbie, like everything. I loved it.
even styled someone for the premiere.
Oh, yes?
Yesterday, a family friend.
Oh, that is so
Yeah.
nice. So people were invested, right? And then, our media platforms interviewed people there, and they did a video, and people on the internet went bananas.
Really?
Yes.
I'm not on social media, as
Okay.
people might think. So I'm very unaware of things that goes on, especially in this community.
Yes, and I think you're mostly on like Instagram, and it happened I think on Facebook the most.
Yeah. I'm barely
I'm partially
on Instagram.
aware on
I'm all
Facebook.
on TikTok.
Just partially. Like I see it and I see
get
these
sent
things and I
stuff.
just jump out.
Yes,
I just
exactly.
jump out. I look at something and I'm like, okay,
Me too.
that's
Usually-
Facebook.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Usually when there's like something like completely off going on, like I don't even put myself in the position of going down that rabbit hole because I know what it's gonna do to me, so I don't. But somebody sent it to me, and they were targeted, like in specifically through these hate comments, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like as a community, Aruba has collective amnesia or something. I don't know what else to call it, but literally everything has a lifespan of like 24 to max 48 hours.
Yeah.
So what happens is something really sad in our community happens. Everybody goes on like, oh my gosh, this is serious. We should check in on each other, and we should be nicer, and we should be more considerate, and we should be more empathetic.
Don't remind me of this.
Right? Right? But the lifespan of that is 24 to 48 hours, because as soon as an opportunity shows up for us to demonstrate collectively as a community why there is so much like issues with like mental health and with social inequalities, we do that. We jump right on it. So then I saw these things, and I was like shaken by it. I was unsettled. Like I didn't know how I felt about like sharing pictures of like me at the event, because I was not about to put myself in a position where I want to be called Peppa Pig or Barney or whatever.
Yeah.
And then during the event, I don't know if I want to mention this, but I do think it's important and nice. So there was like contest for like best shoes and like best dressed Barbies, and I loved it because it encouraged people to be creative.
Yeah.
And then when they like picked out the like best shoes, I like, as soon as the girl walked in with those shoes, I knew she was gonna win, because those were like perfect Barbie. Like it was just like I knew, like I saw her and I'm like, those are best shoes.
Those are Barbie.
Yes.
Those
Yes.
are so Barbie.
Yes. So by the time that they were gonna pick best dress, like I was literally eating gummy bears and I was just like, oh, let's see who wins like best dress. And then they came and pulled me and I immediately like
Carolina.
no, they didn't say my name. They just like came like Reina vibe, like grabbed you by your arm.
Oh no.
And I'm like,
Hello.
yeah. And I'm like, oh, like choose gummies real quick, like. I literally like had like candy in my mouth, but I was like excited, but at the same time I was like super scared of like, oh my gosh, like what is gonna come after this, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I'm sure I'm not like nobody is Barbie proportion, but you know what I mean. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like how do I feel about that? But then I was like, not gonna get out of your head. It's cute. Like I guess people really like the outfit you pulled together, whatever. And then when I saw the lives, I was like, oh
That's
my
so messed
god.
up.
Like if they post me, I'm gonna cry. Like I cannot handle that amount of like hate. And I feel almost like a little sad about that because I'm here talking about like being more positive, right? But
see what I was talking about with the wedding. See, you were supposed to be so happy in that
Yes.
moment, and then you said, "Please don't post it."
no,
Yeah.
because I do not want to be the direct target of what I know is true of
See
our
how messed up
community.
the society
But
is.
yeah, but
they're
it's
ruining something good for you.
It's stemming
Yeah.
from insecurity, though.
Yeah,
These
no.
hate comments and everything.
Yeah,
it
for sure.
stems from insecurity
For
with
sure.
themselves as a person.
for sure.
And it's
that's
like
what's
I know
happening.
that,
But it
and I think
hurts.
I know
Yeah.
that's the thing. I know that, and a lot
I
of us
know.
know that.
Yeah.
But again, it's hard for people not to feel insecure about it, and I think that a lot of people are missing out on having fun with dressing up.
Yeah.
I have let go a lot lately. Like I am just like embodying like this quirky person that I am, and I try to show it through how I dress, through
Yeah,
the
I
stuff
love
that I
it.
buy. This is who this is who I am. I'm like colorful and like a little like unorganized, and this is me. But it's scary because people will have something to say, and in this community where
As
we have
small community.
yes, where we have like created an unsafe environment for women not to like feel
Express themselves.
yes, right?
Can't express yourself. No.
So, as I see the time, we have to like start wrapping up, which I don't like. I never like wrapping up, but
I think it should start being like 2-3 hours.
Oh my god.
I mean, if you can think of like something that you want to tell people, and it can be like either people, to encourage them to, play with fashion and just be happy with having fashion available to them, or it can be to the people who are like, stirring the shell, or like, even expressing hateful stuff towards people that are expressing themselves. Like, what would you want to tell people?
I have one thing to say.
What is that?
We're all gonna die anyway, so have fun before you do.
Right?
It's just
Yeah.
that's just it. Like, just have fun. At this point, like, you should just not live for other
life is short.
people's. Live for yourself.
Yeah. I want to say like from my perspective at least, growing up it was like you have to wear very girly clothes, stuff
Yeah.
like that, and then there's the figure situation, right?
Oh, yes.
And people would say, no, this is for this gender or for that. Clothes are not like, it's not
clothes are
about the body
genderless.
or for the gender. It's for the customer that purchases it. I don't care who you are, what you do, what you look like. You bought it, you wear it, you feel good in it. Show up and show out.
Yeah.
That's really all you can do. Like, you don't have to listen to others. I'm wearing a girl's shirt or a women's shirt and men's pants right now. Like, it's a mix. It's not one thing or the other. You can do whatever you want. It's your money. Do what you want. Wear what you want. And just express yourself to the best of your ability, because you came to this world to be you to the best of your
Yeah.
ability.
Well said.
Thank you for that. I think that is a very nice ending to I love that to this conversation, because again, I love what Natasha said in the sense of like just live. I mean, we are. That's the only certain thing we have in this world.
No, taxes and death.
Oh yeah, taxes. Right.
Theft and
But yeah, I mean, so enjoy it while you can. Let go of like the fear of, because I mean, what's the worst case scenario, right? I mean, the worst case scenario is that somebody thinks it's like weird, and then what?
Yeah, but does that person like, what are they gonna offer for you?
You're not my target.
Exactly. Yeah. And what you said, I love that too, Darlin. You know, clothes and fashion is for the customer. Yes. So I think I'm gonna embody that more as a person, and I hope that more of you do that too. When you go into a store and you purchase something, whatever it is, remember it's for the customer.
Shop consciously.
Yes. I'm big on that too. All right. So thank you very much for tuning in. I hope that we were able to touch on things, and that, you know, things that we said resonated with you. I hope you learned a thing or two. And let me know if you have questions, and if you think that we should be discussing something that you think is like very important for our community to hear about. Let me know. You know where to find me on Instagram, sincerely.carolina. I want to say, I didn't say it at the beginning, but of course, awesome sponsors that I have that allow me to have these conversations, because y'all genuinely believe these conversations are important and we should be having them. So thank you so much to CeraVe and Crest. I appreciate you so much for making this possible. I will see you again. I love that too. I will see you again next week. I hope. Yeah, I think so.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here. Yes.
Good talk.
Thank you. And let me know if, again, you know, if you felt a certain way about this topic. It's fine to feel a certain way. I'm feeling a certain way. I felt a certain way this whole week.
Maybe there should be a part 3.
I mean,
there's a lot to unravel.
Oh my gosh, right? But yeah. So keep me posted. Have a nice Saturday. Be patient on the road, and be nice to people, and try to, at least for a day, consciously not comment on people's appearances and body.
Please.
It's a good practice. Try doing it today, and then try again tomorrow and the day after, and then hopefully it becomes natural.
Try it for 90 days.
Yes.
90
right?
days,
Repeat.
And then if you last the 90 days, then it's true love, right? Thank you so much. Again, I will see you again next week. Take care. Be nice. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Carolina, and I am the host of Sincerely Carolina, a series of educational conversations about current social issues with local and international experts. Make sure you tune in every Saturday on Cool FM from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Bye.